find us. We are having some Zoom challenges. So welcome to Coffee with Christy post-retreat special, where we are going to share our ahas from Ops Boss Leader Retreat 2021. We have a couple special guests with us today. So first of all, I am Christy Belt-Grossman. I am the CEO and owner of Ops Boss Coaching. And we have some of our coaches and some of our attendees here. And we are going to share what was this whole thing that happened last weekend or 2 weekends ago. It feels like it was last weekend. So I know we have people joining with us on Facebook. Feel free to use the comments to share your ahas, to ask your questions. I know some of you are here because you came to the weekend and you want to hear what other people's ahas were. Some of you missed the weekend. I got so many awesome messages from people saying, I want to come next year, but I want to know more about what it's about. And then the most important reason why we're doing today is to inspire action, because this was not a weekend of entertainment. This was a weekend of information to give you some inspiration so that you can put in the perspiration and take action. So I actually sent you guys all, let me have you guys introduce yourselves first, and then we'll dive right in, because you know me, we're all high Ds, I think, mostly on this call. So Steph, you want to introduce yourself, and then we'll kind of go around.
Yep, Stephanie Brackett. I am the COO of Anderson Hicks Group out of Idaho Falls, Idaho, and I'm also an Ops Boss coach.
Ooh, all right, Kelly.
Kelly Turco. I am the DOO of the Bell Hendrickson team out of Tampa, Florida, and also an Ops Boss coach.
Awesome. Shay.
Hi, I'm Shay Heron with the Highland Schneider team in Prescott, Arizona, and I'm a sales manager for our team.
Awesome. And first time attending the retreat this year. So I'm
first time attendee.
Your perspective. Yeah. Cool. Elizabeth.
Elizabeth Gilbert with Ron Henderson and Associates in Kansas City, Missouri. I am the COO of the team.
Awesome. And
a coach.
And a coach, yes.
I am Samantha Stokes. I am a first-time attendee. I'm from the Lucas Howard Group in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and I'm a buy-side transaction coordinator.
Love it. Awesome. Ellen Marie.
Hi, I am Director of Ops of the Moz Group in South Jersey and also an Ops Boss coach.
South Jersey in the house. And we have Sheila Rastinas. Do you want to introduce yourself, Sheila?
I'm Sheila Rastinas, the Ops Boss of the Ops Boss and the Leader Retreat Ninja.
She is the Leader Retreat Ninja. Yay! High props for that. So before we dive in,
I don't know if Wendy's still there. If Wendy's there, she can introduce herself.
Is she here? I don't know if she's still here. I don't think she's
I don't know. She's on my, I don't know what's going on, but we have a roof being added to our office today. So she might just be muted.
Okay. If you want to jump on, Wendy, feel free to jump on if you're there. So I want to start out before we go through all of our questions and share with you guys, because I'm so proud of myself, that my biggest aha has already been implemented. And I want to make sure anyone listening knows what it is, because this might be an opportunity for you. My aha was, thank you, Stephanie Brackett, from doing Fix This Next when everything's chaos. Where should I start? And as you were talking, you said something about the bottleneck. And I'm like, yes, I am the bottleneck in my business. So I went back and wrote a job description, had a meeting with my CFO, and we are hiring an Ops Boss Ninja full-time remote. So if you're interested in that, go to our blog and see if that's something that you might want to do, because we need another unicorn for our team. So let's go back to, I'm not sure we need to talk about Friday, but in case people are listening who haven't been before, our weekend is set up as personal and professional growth. So Friday we had a social, Saturday we did masterminds, panels, speakers, all business, and then Sunday we did personal growth. So where do we want to start? Should we start with Saturday morning with kicking off the day with business ahas? And who wants to jump in with, maybe tell us, why did you come to the retreat? And what was your biggest aha from Saturday? Who wants to start?
I'll start.
Awesome.
So I came to the retreat. I've been doing coaching with staff for since I think March. And I was just really excited to meet other ops bosses from around the country. I've just learned so much from masterminding with other people in real estate, growing teams, high producing, operations and sales managers. So meeting more people around the country. I wanted to also meet staff. I was looking forward to meeting a couple people that I've only met on Zoom. So that was really fun. And then obviously learning and just growing and speakers and panels and all kinds of stuff. So I would say my biggest takeaway on Saturday was the Fix This Next review that Steph did. It was just so meaningful for me. I loved the high level overview of the book and just really constructive steps to take to go back and evaluate your business and figure out where you need to be spending time, because there's a lot of information out there in our world, and it's so nice to have actionable steps to move forward to evaluate.
When you went through the steps, like where did you find? So Steph kind of laid out. I forget how many levels it was. Was it 7?
I think it's 5, right, Steph?
Okay. So where did you kind of like what was your thought process? Were you like, oh, we're up at level 4, or oh shoot, maybe I need to go back to level 1 and review?
Yeah, so I think that I feel really good just saying that we have a couple more things we're working on in level 3, and we're starting to look at level 4. So to be able to and a lot of that has happened in the last year. So it was really fun to reflect on what we've accomplished, because sometimes it's hard to remember what you've accomplished and you feel like there's so much to do, but it was really nice to be able to look back and go, okay, we're pretty good in level 3. We have a few more things to figure out, and now we're moving on to level 4.
Love that. Awesome.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Remind me, do you remember what's in level 4? Like what
level 4 is, so business benefiting clients through transformation. So post-closing plans to keep a client forever was an example of that. Mission motivation. Do you have a written mission, which we actually wrote out this week with our team leader for the first time ever. Dream alignment. Do you know the dreams of the people that you work with, and are you committed to helping them? We're going to do a lot of vision boarding and whatnot with our agents this year, because we know what their goals are, but we don't always understand their why, and that's really important.
Yeah.
And then feedback. What systems do you have in place to make sure clients are honestly letting you know how you're doing?
I love that. Anybody else have ahas around Fix This Next? Ella Marie?
I did, and while the kids are quiet, I'd like to go. So I did around Fix This Next. It's always, for us, going back to the basics a lot of the times, and we track everything. We track our numbers, that's the basics. But we've built this ISA team fairly quickly, I feel, over the year, and now having a marketing director on the team, it's like, okay, I have to go back to the basics with tracking those numbers. And over the past 2 weeks, we've gotten really specific on what we are tracking from start to finish to really hone in on those conversion rates. And I know these things, but hearing it in a different perspective really hit home for me and for the team. So that was something I brought back right away and was like, this is it, this is done, this is what we're doing. So that was awesome.
That was mine too. My Rainmaker and I yesterday had our mini leadership retreat, and that's what we spent 4 hours talking about, was going through every single one of those questions and saying, do we have this? What does it look like? What do we need now? And making a plan. So yeah, it was highly beneficial.
Mm-hmm.
I heard a lot of ahas that I've heard in coaching calls actually this week around this concept. And a lot of people said, I went back and I realized we're working on level 3, level 4 things, but we don't have level 1 dialed in yet. We don't have the basics of, are the sales there? Are the leads there? Like all that level 1 stuff. So I thought that was really awesome.
Well, the big takeaway too was to not get sidetracked by those things, because now those things are like the ones that are sexy, and we want to work on impact and legacy and all the cool stuff, and the hard stuff we don't want to do. So it was it's a hierarchy, right? You have to start with the basics at the base. Yeah.
And they go.
And it's funny because if you really liken it to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, it literally is, how can you concentrate on falling in love if there's a tiger trying to eat you? Like you cannot, it's so basic that we're doing that. The tiger is trying to eat you as sales. Like you can't focus on anything else unless there's sales there, and all that we do that all the time. We're so scattered with our focus, and we're like, oh, I'm going to go do this, and I'm going to go do this, and this sounds fun, and let's do this. And we're missing the big thing. We're missing the big picture. We're missing the very bottom, the very foundation of our business.
Yeah. So I foresee a lot of changes in goal setting after people go back and look at that hierarchy. What else? What other ahas? Why did you guys come, and what were your Saturday ahas?
I can go. Oh,
Go.
Kelly?
Go ahead, Samantha. Go ahead.
Okay. I came because it is just so important to surround yourself with people who are doing bigger and better things than you. And I always strive to be the best and know the best. And I'm like, where can I go where I can find these operations people that are the best? And I look up to Stephanie so much. And of course, the reason I wanted to go is to meet her and Christy. And that was awesome just to like see you guys in real life. My biggest aha from Saturday was definitely learning how to think like an owner from the seat I'm in. I think as an admin and as an operations staff, it's so hard to think big picture when you think I'm just a TC, I'm just an EA, so sometimes you get discouraged to have those big dreams and big goals when you don't necessarily see yourself as an owner. So another thing I learned is partnership, not power. And sometimes I feel like people can get lost in those titles and those power roles. And it's so important to see every single role on your team, no matter if it's the DOO or the owner of the team, whoever, that this entire thing is a partnership. And your team will be so much more successful if you just think of it that way.
I love that. For those of you, we were broadcasting live to our group first, although we ended up out on our public page. So welcome to everyone who's here. Emily Smith was on that panel, the Think Like an Owner panel, and she wrote an amazing post in our group this week about leading from your seat, no matter what seat you're in, and that we're all leaders. So I love that you said that.
My TC went to this, and she written on her window right now. I wish I could walk you guys out there, but written on her window, it's what impact can I make on the business today from the seat I'm sitting in?
Yes. And I think that has been a huge shift in my mindset as well, is what can I do myself to push the company's vision farther just from the seat that I'm in? And let me tell you, it's done wonders for my mindset, just for like, if I have downtime, okay, what can I do today to improve my client experience? Or what can I do today to reach a goal that the entire team has? So yeah, what she said really made an impact.
I love that. Yeah, she's an awesome leader. Kelly, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, this was actually my first retreat as well, and I've been to a bunch of other real estate events, and I've never been to one that was just dedicated only to operations people. So I was super excited to meet, other people who were in the same position as me, that's all they focused on, versus going to so many, agent things and trying to connect with operations people there. And it was super cool again to meet Stephanie in person also, and you, Christy, after being on Zooms for so long. My biggest takeaway was Emily on the panel, and she said, if you sit down to let someone go on your team and they're surprised, then you have failed as a leader. And I really thought about that, and how are we setting the expectations with our team, and how are we communicating those expectations? But then I turned it around to think, if somebody on my team sits down and leaves and I didn't know, then how have I failed as a leader? Because, what conversations are we having with our team to make sure that they're happy, that we're helping them achieve their goals? So that just really impacted the conversations that I've been having the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, and I think a lot of us have worked through that in coaching calls recently too, that topic of sometimes it's not that we're not having the conversations, we're not getting to the place of clarity in those conversations. And then the surprise happens, and that's on us. I love that. That's a great one.
And Ellen Marie, you said something, and I had a conversation with somebody today. You said something in the goal setting, a question that you asked was, if I gave you $1,500 tomorrow, what would you do with it? And so that answer has been really cool, to ask people that same question and really dive deep into their goals.
can't take credit for it. Christy gave me that question, but I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Well, I think that question came from trying to get clarity when we're motivating people to achieve things like our operations team to get referrals or to get reviews, and then we're bonusing them on that, but there's no connection and there's no action being taken. It's because you haven't connected the head and the heart, right? What's important about that money? What would you actually do with that money? Like, let's write it down. Let's put a picture in front of you. Like, oh, well, I would take my kids to Disney World. Cool. Let's tell your kids and then let them hold you accountable, that kind of thing. So that's awesome. What else? Who did we not have go? Saturday. Steph, why did you come? This is your 4th weekend.
I come for you, Christy. I'm just kidding. Because
It
this
was
is my
good. I mean, you guys, I have to say, wasn't being in person so like overdue. Like I was so happy to be in person with you guys. But
No, I come back every year because it's my tribe. Like I get so much energy from that, and it lasts me for another 6 months. Like I get so pumped up and so much energy from that. But my big takeaways from Saturday actually came from John Crinn, and I literally have quoted him like 7 times in the past 2 weeks that I've been back. And that was like, if you focus on the people, then the results will show up in other ways. And that's the conversation. I mean, I had a conversation with our sales manager the other day, and that was it. I was like, you got to focus on the people. Like if you're focusing on the goals, then you're pushing them to achieve goals, and they're never going to respect the fact that you care about them as a person. But if you focus on the person, they'll hit their goals if they know you care about them. And I told them the best manager I ever worked for was about 25 years ago at the Home Depot. And this was a regional director. He had 10 stores underneath him, 2,500 employees. And he knew the guy in the lot's name, the guy that was shagging carts in the lot. He'd walk in and he'd be like, hey, Jose, what's going on? And just high-fiving him. Every one of his store managers, every one of his assistant managers, every person in the store would literally lay down in front of a bus for that guy because they knew he cared about them personally. And the sales, he got promoted up through the ranks in Home Depot because everybody did what they were supposed to do. The sales showed up, everything showed up because he was
and John basically laid down in the parking lot for his employees. Like that was a great example of that. And I think that when he said that, it was because I asked him, if you're not naturally creative and naturally innovative, how can you flex that muscle or learn to be creative and innovative? And he said, if you focus on the people, you will become creative.
Yeah, that was his exact quote. Make people the priority, the creativity will come.
Yeah, that was awesome.
That was awesome. I loved him. I thought he was amazing.
What other Saturday ahas? So Saturday we had Fix It Like a Boss with Steph. We had Turn Your Business into a Winnable Game. So Zach Muir took us through a little bit of the 4 disciplines of execution. We had Neuroscience of Leadership with Nora Simpson with another different outlook on how to influence people. We had, what else did we have? Harness the Winds of Chaos with Innovation and Creativity with Chef Crinn.
Then we had the breakouts.
Oh, that's right. Purposeful Parents and Bossy Kids with one of our coaches was awesome. Attract the Unicorns with Lindsay. I heard a lot of ahas around Lindsay's conversation and using the word attract versus the word recruit. Curious if any of you guys had in anything there. And then we had Radical Retention, Fierce Focus, and Lessons in Leadership at the very end. It was a really full day. Plus we had breakouts. We had goal setting and domino tipping. We had, you guys remind me of the breakouts. I'm forgetting.
How to think like an owner, meaningful conversations.
Job forms in Google.
Job forms, Google sites.
Job forms and Google sites. Okay. Anybody have any, I know you guys were facilitating, so you may not have ahas in those areas, but anybody have anything else on the Saturday stuff that jumped out?
I had 2 personal ahas from the Purposeful Parents one. I believe it was Via, I don't have my notes in front of me, that said she always projected to her kids, I get to work, not mommy has to go to work. This is why you're in daycare or whatever it is. And over the past 2 weeks, I've changed what I say. And I do think it it changes my mindset a little bit. And they know, I work, my husband works, it's what we do. But I don't, sometimes I feel guilty about that. But saying I get to go to work today has changed my mindset a little bit. And I think that'll stick with them. And then something that Jess had said as well, doing affirmations with her daughter, they say I wills. So I started using I wills with the kids in the morning as well. I really like that. It's fun.
Oh, I love that. And how old are your kids?
3 and 6.
That's just so cool. I just think like for me, that was powerful hearing the kids. Oh, by the way, maybe I better not say this publicly. Aiden got some really good college news today. So one of the kids that was on the panel. But it was awesome to see how it'll be interesting to see 10 or 20 years from now, like what are those kids doing, right? Because you're empowering them at such a young age. Who else had ahas there, Shay?
That same, the purposeful parenting was just so impactful for me, because I think that it's being a working mom or working parent, and it's been a crazy year. It's been a crazy 18 months. And I know I do get to work. I loved that aha. And that was like something that I really needed to hear that weekend, but also to just have, children panelists. And there was Jess's daughter is a second grader and my daughter's a second grader. And, they reminded me of each other a lot. And I thought it was just a really great thing to normalize what it's like to be a working parent and how people cope. And it really gave me a lot of strength just in a lot of the things that Ellen Marie mentioned. And just there's safety in numbers, when you're out there doing it by yourself and you're trying to figure out how you're going to take a meeting and pick your kids up from school and get back for the next meeting and keep them happy while you're on a Zoom, and then get them to soccer, and then it's just it's crazy. So it was really nice to just hear from other people who are doing the same thing.
Well, and I love the fact that what you guys are learning, you're taking and sharing with your kids. Like Ella Marie, like I can just hear Henry in the morning going, I get to go to school today instead of I have to go to school today. Like how empowering is that? What a different experience he'll have that day of school.
And the I wills are so powerful. I mean, that's so fantastic. And then also to hear Jessica say, like, I need some time. I need a weekend once a month where I can detach from everything, because it's so much to be a parent and so much to work full time. And so to just hear people share, and sometimes how I feel, where I'm like, I need a break from everyone. So that was just really nice to hear about.
So have you guys implemented anything along the taking some time for yourself place? Like
during COVID, like the only thing I could do to make myself feel better about the fact that we were all home all together and it was so much to work and homeschool my kids at the same time, I really adopted working out. And that was like the one time that I could get like an hour by myself. And it was my excuse to like get out and go for a walk or do an exercise routine in my house or whatever it was. And I think it just helped me to like reaffirm that I need that, and it's good for me to do that. And that makes me a better mom to make time for myself, and makes me better at what I do professionally. And it's so important. So that was helpful to me. And that was the takeaway.
Yeah, love that. I have to tell you guys, I emailed Jess about something today and I got an auto reply that said I'm out of the office today. And my first reaction was frustration, because I'm high D and I always want immediate responses on things. And my next reaction was, she's living what she said she does. Like she didn't stand on stage and say, this is what you should do because it's a great idea. She's actually doing it. So I just had for her.
That's funny because we had Jay Papazan Zoom into our offsite yesterday and day before yesterday, Wednesday. And he was awesome. And he talked about someone asked him how Gary Keller was in person. And he said he's concentric. And what he meant by that is he lives. What you see on stage is what Gary is. He literally lives concentrically. And that's what Jess is doing. She's living a concentric life. She is practicing what she preaches.
I love that. I hope a lot of people have that takeaway from the panel, that we get to choose how we parent. And as long as we're purposeful in our choices, then we can let go of that guilt. So I know a lot of you guys talked about it from your own perspective with your kids, but we all have people on our teams, whether we have kids at home or not, who are dealing with that. So I thought that was a great session. Did
I had a
any,
couple, Christy, from Nora's.
I was just gonna ask that, go.
She had to go super fast, but I love her. But the two big ahas, she said one at the very beginning and then one at the very end. And the very beginning, she said the human mind is always thinking, am I safe or am I scared? And that's the two defaults that you have. You either feel safe and can do whatever you need to do because you're safe, or you're scared. And there's totally different emotions you feel with both of those. And it's, you know, however many 300 million years old DNA in us that's causing that. But the thing that she wrapped it up with, and she kind of went through a whole bunch of stuff about that, but what she wrapped up at the end is when it's time to get people to do what you want them to do, safety looks different to everyone. So just because I feel safe in a situation doesn't mean someone else does. And we've got to make sure we're learning how to make people feel safe. How can they feel safe to feel safe enough to open up to us so that we can actually influence them? Because we have no influence over someone who doesn't feel safe with us. Zero influence. We cannot influence them to do anything if they don't feel safe.
So Steph, how have you thought about how you're going to action that item on your team?
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's definitely in my one-on-ones, and I try and practice this anyway. This is more, I'm more of a, hey, take care of the people and everything else. But my conversations this past 2 weeks, I've been super purposeful about the conversations that I'm having with people to make sure that they know that I care about them as a person. Their goals and all that stuff is just extra stuff. I want them to hit their goals, I really do, but I want them to succeed at whatever they want to succeed at. And they're not my goals, it's their goals.
Yep.
I can't make them want something more than I want it. You know what I mean? You can't make them want something that you want. They have to want whatever they want. And so just in the conversations you have with people, you've got to just make sure you're focused on them. Everything else will follow and make them feel safe. How do you make them feel safe? It's getting to know them and connecting.
Yeah, and I think that's this time of year is such a good time of year for those conversations because everybody is doing their goal setting and their business planning, and the numbers are the numbers, but that's not why people get up and do what they do. They don't do it. Most people don't. Well, unless you're Stephanie and you want to win with the most numbers, but just kidding.
Or the most vacuums.
What other, or the most vacuums? I know.
Or shoes, right?
Or shoes.
All right.
You guys
So,
will get your shoe picture of the day in a little while.
yes, follow
I've
Stephanie
been waiting for
Brackett.
it.
Stephanie Brackett on Instagram for the shoes of the day. All right. What other Saturday ahas? Were there any other Saturday ahas? We had a lot packed in there.
Yeah, I have one.
Go ahead, Samantha.
I have one from Elizabeth's breakout, the meaningful conversations. I wrote it down as a quote. Communication is not from the person's mouth, but from the other person's ear. I think it is so easy to just be listening to someone, but you're in your mind, you're just thinking, how am I going to respond? You're not soaking in what they're really saying. You're not really listening. And I think in the speed of real estate, in the speed of an office, it's so easy to get caught up in just responding and not really listening. And that goes back to caring about the people as well. If you're really listening, that shows that you care. And I think that kind of reset how I hold conversations. I also realize I'm not very good at having conversations I don't want to have. So I've been working on that with Stephanie and reading the book Fierce Conversations. We read it as a team, but I wasn't on the team at that time. So started a little book club for that. And I'm really excited to learn how to have a conversation I don't necessarily want to have, but I'll have the tools going into it at least, and maybe I won't be such a chicken.
I love that. That's awesome. I felt like, Elizabeth, you do such a great job leading that meaningful conversations topic. Like that's so in our world, especially with so many operations people, we're used to being behind the scenes, and
yes,
those conversations are not always easy, and yet they're important. And probably one of the most important things towards partnership and moving businesses forward is the depth of the relationship, and the conversation is the relationship, right? Elizabeth, anything you want to add on that?
Not necessarily. You know, the one thing that I know works well for me, because that's front of mind for me too, is that the understanding starts with what they heard. So if I find myself on a tangent of explaining something and I'm just talking, and Kelly's heard me say this, because we do group coaching together, I will say, I've done a lot of talking. What did you hear me say? As a check-in to see where was the understanding? Did it get to their ear the way I meant it? And if not, then I can go back and go, oh, wait a second, I said that all wrong. We just do that a lot. I learned that from my rainmaker, Ron, as well. When we're having a conversation and he's like, well, it's this. And I'm like, wait, that's not what I said. Let me say that differently. Or if I'm not understanding, I will tell him, can you say that in a different way? And that's our prompt to go, oh, okay, I was having the conversation in my head and you were only involved in like a fourth of what I was thinking. So let me start over, right? Sometimes we assume we understand. And then we're like, oh, okay, I got it. And then you go off and do the thing and you take it back. And that's nowhere near what they wanted.
Yeah.
But we didn't check for understanding, right?
We didn't check for it. I will tell you, I will thank you right now. You gave me that script as a gift in a conversation that you and I had in one of our one-on-ones. And I said it back to you. And then when you said, I'm literally going to tear up, you said, what I heard you say was, and you said two things. And all of a sudden, I felt all of a sudden we connected on a level that we hadn't connected before, because you heard the most important things.
Yeah.
So that's a gift of a script. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
What else from Saturday?
Recruiting conversation with Lindsay was fantastic. You touched on it a little bit earlier, but one of the most poignant ahas for me was talking to your team about people that they're enjoying working with, highly competent agents, highly competent transaction coordinators, whatever it is, and to have them give you the heads up or empower them to send a quick email. Hey, I've really enjoyed working with you. If you're ever considering joining a team or moving teams or making a change, we'd love to talk to you. And it was like a mindset shift for me, because we're constantly going out to people we don't know, who we've never worked with, and like, hey, do you want to join our team? I was like, duh, ask the people who you like working with. So anyway, it was just like a great action item that we've already put in place.
Yeah, that's how we found our listing coordinator.
So awesome.
Other side of transaction. Yeah.
Yeah. And she said, like, look around your team and how many people have you gotten through attraction-based marketing, referrals, people who say, have joined your team because they want to work with your team for a certain reason. You have, you're high in your marketplace as far as production, whatever it is. And then the people who you've recruited, and probably, if you're like most teams, the people who have been attracted to your team or brought on by someone else that has been with your team for a while are the ones that are, the people who you value the most, or that have stayed the longest with your team, or whatever it is. So it was interesting to look back at that and go, no, you're totally right.
So it's actually interesting you say that, because I was reflecting yesterday as we put our job posting out for our systems Ninja. That will be our 10th person on our team, and it will be the very first time we've ever put a job posting out, because our whole entire team is built from attraction, because we're in sync with values. You guys had some interesting, really heavy hitting recruiters in that conversation too. I know Via was out there and Emily was out there. Like it was a great.
I had no idea who necessarily Via was specifically, and she was sharing so much great stuff, and then I was like, oh.
Yeah, I know who you are. Yeah, and Lindsay, if you're listening, thank you. That was an impromptu. I completely forgot to close the loop with her to remind her that we were going to have her lead the recruiting breakout, so she did it on the fly. So that was awesome. I mean, that's just the thing. Our goal with this retreat every year is that whoever is in that room is equally capable of being on stage or leading a breakout as any of the people who are on stage are leading a breakout. It's just a powerhouse room, whether you're having coffee before the day or having dinner at night or coming to the breakouts. Anything else on Saturday before we move to Sunday?
I was just going to say the one last thing I got from Lindsay that she said that's super interesting was, and it's totally true, and you just never think of it this way, is the person that's doing the least on your team is your team standard if you're allowing them to stay. The lowest performer is the standard.
Mhm.
Yep. All of a sudden, yeah, when that was said, you saw the faces go, ooh, right? I love that. Awesome. Anything else from Saturday?
I just have one more quote. Nothing changes until the unsaid is spoken. And let me tell you, that hit home.
So have you scheduled the unsaid conversation yet, Samantha?
No, but I'm working on that with Stephanie.
Okay, there you
We're
go.
getting there. We're getting there.
Okay, that's good. I love it. I love that you're moving forward. So Sunday, so if you guys are listening, you haven't been to the retreat before, Saturday is spent primarily on business like a boss, panels, masterminds, speakers, breakouts. Sunday, we totally flipped the thing, and we know that probably 99.9% of the people in attendance focus on everyone else in their life except themselves. They're the ones taking care of their family, their loved ones, their agents, the whole team in the business, and they put themselves last. So our goal on Sunday is to pour into, for a very short time before you board your planes, trains, and automobiles, but to pour into you and give you a little bit of a breather. And so we totally switch up the tempo, we switch up the format, and we had Why Walk When You Can Fly, Being Intentionally Bossy. We had Buffy Kirkman do a Transformed Life. And then Via Williams was our keynote, Growth from the Inside Out. And I know some of you guys, a couple of you guys had to leave to catch planes early, so I'm not sure who was there on Sunday, but does anybody want to share any reflections from Sunday?
Yeah, I can share. I loved every single second of Via's panel talk, whatever you want to call it. It was so refreshing to see a woman in power tell you that she failed, but she failed forward. I think that's one thing that really hit home, because you think of failure as like such a bad thing, like nothing good can come from it. You never want to fail, you never want to mess up. And it was just so refreshing to hear, like, you can really bloom from situations like that and you can fail forward. And I think that that is definitely something that's going to stick with me forever. It just gave me the confidence to let myself fail. And if that happens, it's not going to trip me up.
And then I love that in addition to the vulnerability, because she shared some pretty vulnerable life stuff, especially with her son sitting in the room, like really that choked me up. But she also gave us a very specific framework for what to do when you fail and how to take that and make the fail into fail forward. So I really love those tools. Who else was there on Sunday? I don't know if any of you guys were there. Ella Marie? I see Henry. Hi, Henry.
Everyone's here. So out of everyone that spoke on Sunday across the board, there was a sense of vulnerability, a sense of honesty that honestly is one of the reasons I do come to the retreat for, and the willingness to share. And no matter what anyone was speaking about, you can appreciate that. And I know I felt it from all of the speakers. Everyone at my table felt it. I have talked to clients since then. It's a very powerful day that you almost don't expect, if that makes sense. And it's like, you kind of have to be there.
That was my experience being a first timer. It was like, I was blown away by Sunday, because it was just such a great time to reflect on yourself and to hear stories of people's vulnerabilities in so many different areas, and like how they overcame and failed forward. And, it was really fantastic. And I don't think that I can say I've ever left a conference, and I've been to a lot of them, where I felt empowered in those ways that were outside of what I could bring back to the office.
I love that. I mean, our businesses only grow to the extent we do. And like, do we remember to put on our oxygen mask first? You can't pour from an empty cup. And so that's why we integrated that piece in there. It's so interesting. Every year it just randomly happens. Like, we're not super hands-on with our content management in that area. we pick like, who do we think would be an awesome speaker? And they bring to us what their story is. And it was interesting to see all the stories sort of integrate. They always do each year into a totally unique. I do have all the butterflies and the tree in my living room, and it's all lit up so I can remember all of what Buffy shared, which I thought was really powerful about transformation and the difference between what's the children's book? Happy Caterpillar, is that what it is?
Hungry caterpillar.
Hungry
Very
caterpillar.
hungry caterpillar.
And what the caterpillar actually really goes through before it becomes a monarch butterfly. So I thought, I loved, if Buffy's listening, I loved hearing a super high D give a really vulnerable talk. That was really powerful for me. So yeah. Anything else from, well, so what I really want to know, because we have about 10 minutes left, and if I skipped any ahas, you guys can come back to them. I want to know what you've implemented, because one of the differences I believe that we have at Ops Boss is that our people, being bossy means you get into action. It doesn't mean you go back and you took all these notes, but what have you guys actually implemented since 2 weeks ago? Or however many days it's been, 10 days ago.
Okay. Like you, Christy, like I feel like there are some places in our business where I'm the bottleneck, right? Like, and so really evaluating our systems, like what systems rely only on me, where, making a list of those, where can I start to delegate? I'm not really good at delegating. And so really, okay, making a list. These are things that I can actually let go of and delegate to other people and help other people on my team delegate things to other people so that we don't run into those bottlenecks.
I love that. One of my coaching clients is so awesome. She wasn't at the thing, but she actually has a spreadsheet for her business now where she has a column that says, can someone else do it? Yes or no. And then a second column of, do I love this? Yes or no. Because some of the things someone else could do, but she loves doing. So she's going to keep those, but she's working on delegating too. And I love the spreadsheet idea.
Great idea.
What else have you guys actioned?
So I went ahead and bought the book, the Fix This Next, and read the entire thing. And my client care manager is now reading it. And that's what our discussion is going to be after this meeting. And so I told you that my rainmaker and I sat down for 4 hours and went through the book, and we already have a plan for what our next, what thing we're going to fix. And we went through the entire framework of deciding the plan and how to evaluate it and when to, what to change. So that's already
awesome. That was fast implementation. By the way, if you guys are listening and you want to buy that book, we have a shop that's just getting launched. Only a few things on it right now, but if you go to opsbosscoaching.com and click on the shop, you'll be able to just go right to that book. What else have you guys implemented?
I started the book club for Fierce Conversations because I want to learn that ASAP.
I love that. And that's the best way to learn, is to lead. That's fantastic. So that's the whole reason why our podcast that we do with Lindsay Soprani, the Leader Equation, got started. Because Lindsay and I were on a journey to learn about leadership, and we're like, what better way to learn but to invite a bunch of leaders on and chat with them and learn from them. So that's kudos to you. Is that book club open to everyone, or just a team book club, or what is that?
I just started a little one on the team.
Awesome. That's
The
fantastic.
book is so meaty. It's so perfect for a book club because there's lots to dive into.
Yes. And everyone on the team always brings up like, oh, well, in Fierce Conversations, they said this. I'm like, guys, I wasn't here when we read that. So instead of, going to other people for advice on conversations I need to have, I'm like, you know what? I need to read this book. And I was mentioning it to another agent in our office, and he's like, I want to read that book. And then someone chimed in from the background, hey, I haven't read that yet. So we just all got the book, and we're like, let's just meet after our Monday meeting for 10, 15 minutes and I'll read it together.
That's fantastic. Kudos. Who else? Shay, were you about to jump in with what you've implemented?
Yeah, I have a couple. So from Fix This Next, we have just gotten really purposeful about our values and our mission, our vision. We are in the middle of an EOS implementation, so it like the Fix This Next brought everything together for me and how important that was, and just helped me identify kind of where we are and where we could use EOS to help us get to the next level and Fix This Next. And then the attraction-based recruiting, that was not recruiting, attraction-based, how did she put it?
Growth.
Growth, yes.
Yeah.
Attracting, not recruiting, that was it. I reached out to our admins and just said, please tell me about we have a few positions that we've been really trying hard to hire for, and it's been difficult in our job market here in our local town. And so I reached out to them and got recommendations for people, and then wrote a little email that we can send off to them as we, get these people identified. And then one of the other things that was great is we always do business planning, but I think it was Lindsay and Emily were talking about, they spend time on a SWOT analysis, and they have each agent do that, their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities and threats. And they do that on an agent level, obviously at a business level as well. So I'm reworking the end of year business planning document that we use, and I'm going to make it a little bit more interesting to fill out, and hopefully can identify a little bit more about what our agents' goals are at a higher level. So I'm excited.
I love that. I've never thought of doing the SWOT analysis at the agent level. We literally, Elizabeth, Stephanie, and I did a SWOT analysis the day before the retreat started for our company.
Oh, nice.
So that's cool. Who else? What have you implemented?
I took my Fix This Next stuff, because I obviously was the one who was teaching the class, but you got to practice what you preach, right? And we had our team advance over the past couple of days, and we're on level 4. I can answer yes to all the questions on level 1, 2, and 3. And so we're definitely on level 4. And as we were brainstorming the ops team of what we're going to do this next year, I was bouncing back to those questions and making sure that the projects we're agreeing to take on came right out of the Fix This Next. Like, how do we get an even better feedback loop from our clients where we're not just looking for reviews, we're looking for actual honest feedback to how to make this better. How do we get that out there and make our process better for our clients? So we have a list of, this is my post-it notes from my retreat. Oh, you can't see it. Dang it, it's blurry.
I'm pretty sure you followed the 5 steps to create a system there.
Pages of post-it notes, and everybody on the success team took a project. They own a project for the next year, and that's their stretch goal for the year. And it's all stuff that's in our level 4 stuff, level 4 or level 5 stuff that we're going to fix. So
I love that. Super concrete. Anyone else want to add an action item? I think we hit everybody. So what was your favorite part of the weekend? Might be a speaker, might be something you did in Washington, D.C. It might be like, what was your highlight? We'll end with highlights.
Mine was taking someone from my team to the retreat and being able to not only experience it for myself, which I've done the last 4 years now, but 3 years by myself, but now to see someone else's eyes that I'm so close with get opened and have her experience and come up with ideas is very fulfilling.
I love that. And
I was going to say the same thing, because I took my Nicole, and she's come back and she's just a whole different person. She's an entirely different person. And then being able to hug my coaching clients in person and like actually see them, that was one of the best.
I know, and see that like the ones that you thought were 5'10" are only like 5'2", right?
Kelly warned me that she was really tall, so I knew she was tall, but I had no idea Shay was as tall as she was. I was thinking it was like 5'2".
I surprised you because I'm always hunched over in my little seat when we talk.
I love that you brought that up, Elizabeth, because I've had some questions on that from a few attendees and from a few potential attendees. Should I bring people on my team, or why are there people here on their teams? And I think Emily Smith's post in our group this week addressed that. Like, this is a place to not only for leaders, but for developing leaders. And we saw a beautiful example of that with Emily's daughter, who was a scholarship winner at the age of 15 in that room. asking questions and participating in conversations at a leader level. So it is the Ops Boss leader retreat, and there is room for potential leaders to be at the retreat. Bring this, I would challenge you guys, set this as a goal, put this in your budget next year, set criteria around how people can earn their way, and then they'll come back and grow your team exponentially. Ellen Marie, were you going to say something?
I think I was just yelling at my kids, but my favorite part, well, there's so many favorite parts, but one of my favorite parts is in the very beginning. The first time I went, you connected me with a couple people. We've created a little mastermind that has followed me through the years. So again, we reconnect at every retreat. And Saturday night, going to dinner with everyone, adding in a couple extra people. And after such a long day of learning and knowledge and meeting new people again, we laughed and laughed and laughed. And it just felt so good. And these are your true friends now. So that was one of my really favorite parts.
I love that. I love seeing the relationships that are developed and created and then extended and then the reuniting the next year. So those of the people that came for the first time, hopefully they found a really welcoming group who, oh, I'm finally with my people who get what it's like to be in this role. And now we can stay connected and then see each other again next year. Anyone else want to share highlights?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, just to kind of piggyback on what Ellen Marie said, just because it was my first year, just really meeting some people and forming some relationships with them, that now we have like a text message group, and just connecting with them after the retreat has just been really cool to like find your people.
Yeah.
I was going to piggyback off that too, like being surrounded by a bunch of people who are introverts and they're putting themselves out there. It just empowers you to put yourself out there. And it's just so nice to find a group of like-minded people who are growth-minded and striving to be better in the role that they're in. It's just so refreshing to be surrounded by an entire room of them.
Yeah.
I can't believe nobody said that their favorite part was the dance.
Or the unicorn.
Those are on my top 10.
Oh my God. Yeah, we need to make sure all those videos are destroyed. No, I'm just kidding. That was awesome. Anything else you guys want to add before we wrap up? We're about at our hour. I want to respect everybody's time.
Just a thank you, Christy, for putting such a great group of people together. It was just such a joy to be there. Thanks so much.
Oh, I'm so glad. We had a lot of new people this year. I was really excited about that. I think COVID has kept some people away. We had a number of people that couldn't come because they respectfully didn't come because they had COVID in their household or whatever. So we're super excited about next year. Sheila, our Retreat Ninja is working on things, I believe. Sheila, what are the dates? I think we know the dates for next year. We might know the dates.
We are shooting for October 21st through 23rd.
21st through 23rd. Thank you guys all for sending feedback in. And I think that's it. So there's our ahas. I would challenge everyone to continue to take action. Post in the Facebook group with your action items, because when you take action, it inspires other people to take action. And I hope you guys have a great bossy weekend. Thanks for being with us. Coaches, thanks for joining. First timers, thanks for coming. And we'll see you guys in the Facebook group.
Awesome. Thanks for having us.
Bye, guys.
Yeah.